Hello, welcome to Actual Play, our very first game of World of Dungeons in the wake of the Sorcerer Kings. I'm Sean Nittner, I see him pronouns. I am excited to play this game tonight, but I definitely my general enthusiasm. I have a lot of enthusiasm for this game, but my general state of being right now, in the wake of the Rittenhouse trials, or the Rittenhouse trial rather, is just I don't know, so typically outraged and frustrated and infuriated with white supremacy culture that we live in and that we're part of, and that we always want to excuse and make people understand the way white men feel rather than hold them accountable for their actions. Um, Yansu, um, Julian Kim had a really great tweet that I'll put a link to in chat. But they put something, and I was like, I don't know how to say this better, so I'm going to read what they said because I thought it was really smart. Another infuriating day when this nightmare country proves yet again that white supremacy is not only alive but thriving. How can it not be when there are so many systems in place to actively nurture it? So, yeah, I think the trial was rigged right from the beginning. It was engineered to fail. In a way of feeling like I'm contributing in some way, I am going to donate $50 for every person who says that they're going to donate any amount to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. So whoever, if you do it, you could show us proof in chat. You can just say I did it. I don't care. I will absolutely take your word on it. Just say I donated. Let us know that you donated. If you forget and you do it later on in the stream, let us know then. Is not time sensitive, but whoever makes a donation tonight, I'm going to tally them all up and up to $1,000, which is what I figured I can afford. I can make work. I'll be donating. And if I don't hear it, I'm going to donate anyway, but I'm hoping to encourage some other people as well. How about you, Judd? What's going on?
I will take you up on that. I have begun my donation. I'll get it. I have to do something with my phone to get my stuff in order. So I because of double notifications and things, but
Right.
I will be the first to jump in and say,
Nice.
"Hey, I'm doing it."
Thank you.
It's
We
nice
got
to
one so far.
yeah. So we got one. Yeah. Yeah. You caught a lot of it, and I said when I messaged you and I said I don't want to make this about us, but it feels like our game night falls on another terrible night in American history again, which is frustrating. That these things happen enough that yeah
there's a pattern or it seems,
yeah
or yeah.
yeah absolutely. So I am super excited to play, but I hear you. It's muted. But maybe this will be kind of what we need tonight to,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
the
know.
world that we're playing in, the world that we talked about, feels like it's one where we are going to do our darndest to challenge. We're set in a world that's it's a metaphor for for companies coming into town, setting up shop, and then leaving the town devastated. And I think that is one awful leg of capitalism that we're gonna confront and deal with and challenge. And so I'm glad to be doing that. I mean, I think it's going to be a ton of fun going on
Yeah.
these delves, but I also think it's going to be great to see the effects of that, and also like how we can be good to each other, and how we can form community and take care of one another in the
Yeah.
process as well. So
Yeah. Indeed.
all that.
Uh, I I got just to totally change the subject and move on to frivolous things. Very frivolous. This is the most frivolous thing I could think of at the moment. I've been kind of spending a lot of time looking at the little thing here, and so I got a $30 gift certificate from Threadless. So I bought myself a Daydreaming About Dragons blanket, which will go over this area here.
Oh
So
my goodness.
I'll have some background branding. When I set up this room and I had my shelves, I was super excited. I was like, oh, I'm putting all my favorite books up. It's gonna be like, oh, look, these are all my like these are my favorites. Look at them. Here they are.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and you cannot see them.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to drag everything closer. Uh, I don't feel like I need to, I don't know, be surrounded by books necessarily, but I wanted something back there other than just a room. So we'll work on that a little bit and get a little bit more branded in the background. Yeah, yours is coming along. I feel like it's you're starting to fill stuff up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I got the Quiet Year art right there. That
Oh,
was
nice.
the Four Seasons that Heart of the Unicorn made, and I've got the Big Bad Con D20 of games to play, and I've got some
Oh,
Eric
cool.
Lepore art right above me and the
Yeah,
games. Yeah, so I'm feeling pretty good about it. But it does help that this is a very shallow room. It's only,
right.
I think, 8 feet deep, maybe. So my camera to the wall is maybe 7 feet, if that, 6 feet. So yeah, it's easier to have things up close because it's a really like weird sliver of a room. But it works great for this. But it's, I agree. You should not pull your bookshelf to the middle of the room just so that you can.
No, no, no. Yeah, not doing that. Absolutely not. Uh, what about tell me about this character. Tell me about Micah.
Yeah, so Micah is a delver by trade. They've been in the city. I think that I haven't decided how old they are yet, but I feel like they aren't old enough to have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. They've got a couple kids, so I feel like they're in their late 30s or early 40s, and they've got some kids that are of adult or close to adult age. They have been a professional delver. They have really seen the boon and bust of the Sorcerer Kings, or maybe just the tail end of it, right? Maybe
Right.
when they came in, it was when it was in the heyday. They didn't see the what it was like before, but they've definitely seen the downfall since the Kings have been gone. During their life, before the Sorcerer Kings left, they lost an arm during a delve.
Okay.
They have and um, in order to keep working. This is sort of my commentary on capitalist hellscapes. In order to keep working, they voluntarily submitted to becoming a lycanthrope, like a lot of people have done. And as a wolf person, they could keep doing the work, right? Like they
Oh,
could
interesting.
bound between things and latch onto stuff, and they could scamper around and I think they could do it without doing that, but that felt like that was the way to keep doing this very dangerous, strenuous
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So
I didn't realize that it was voluntary and that you did it to keep working.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
interesting. And that's kind of, but it's also kind of her, their found family also.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So they have a lot of other werewolves in the city, and of Jaquay, which is the name that we give in the city, and Jaquays, and so it's the people they work with and their pack, as it were, are people that are really close to them, and so it's their experience with lycanthropy has been a net positive. It does definitely have drawbacks. There's the whole silver issue. There's the full moon concerns. There's not. It's not been a cure all, but it hasn't been a curse either
Nice.
for them.
Cool. I like the idea of it being a voluntary procedure, for lack of a better word. I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was one of those things. It's just like, well, this realm is extremely dangerous and
Right.
whatnot, and you can go into it, here's an option.
Cool.
Um,
Here's my
so,
first MC question: Was lycanthropy? Uh, I've got some thoughts on it. So if you don't, I've got ideas.
yeah,
Was
yeah.
is was lycanthropy created by the Sorcerer Kings to make like good, soldiers, or good, bounty hunters, or good whatever? Or did it predate them and it was on this world as kind of like a pre-Sorcerer King magic?
I like I really like the idea of the Sorcerer Kings as conquerors and colonizers who have captured things and taken it for their
Yeah,
own means. So I think that lycanthropy well predates them, and they figured out that that was a resource that they could figure out ways to harvest. And
awesome.
so yeah, I don't think it's theirs. They just sort of commodified it
Of course.
in a gross way,
Cool.
and yeah, I just realized like, oh, we can send our delvers in and they'll be that much tougher and more
Yeah.
resilient.
Or
And
we can send them after runaways or whatever it is.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
So um, it, it, there's a part of it that, did you watch Sorry to Bother You?
No.
Okay. I won't spoil it, but there's a weird commodification, or not a weird. There's a very direct commodification of people in that.
No, wait. I did see that. I did see that with Kate Stanfield. Yeah, and
Yeah,
Tessa
yeah, yeah,
Thompson. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The horse people is. I
Got
mean,
it.
that's something that they engineered, obviously, in the movie, but like that
Right.
was kind of the feeling I
The
had.
vibe. All right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Uh,
I like it. Sounds good. And then I like. There's something about the idea of this voluntary procedure that leads to you finding a community. That's kind of
yeah.
cool. Uh, yeah, that's really cool. Interesting. Good stuff. Uh, cool. Is this the first day back since lycanthropy, or have you been at it for a while?
Oh, yeah. No, I envisioned this is something that Micah did back when the Sorcerer Kings were still here. So
Oh, wow.
I think they've been at it for a while.
Cool.
And I because I think that that was sort of an option at the time. Like there was like a company package, sort of thing that you could do, and it was like the worst version of workers' comp or something like that. Been injured on the job? We've got
Right.
a solution for you,
Right.
And it's
Yeah.
like here we can turn you into a werewolf so you can go back out and keep doing the work. So
Cool.
I think they've been a werewolf for like a long enough that they know like okay, when it's a full moon, like my family's not going to see me for 3 days because I'm going to go outside the city, or I'm going to lock
Yeah.
myself up in a cage, or I'm going to do something so that I don't put them in
I
danger.
mean, with a community, there would be like a refuge, right? There would be like a place you could go.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
you
I
you
think that
you you
there's
take the lycanthrope bus, out upstate, and
right, and you run around the wild for 3 days, and then you come back, and because the rest of my family are are not
okay.
lycanthropes,
Oh,
right? Like
interesting.
the rest of
Cool.
my like blood family are not, right?
Right. Right.
So it's or at least they're not all. I mean, maybe some of them become, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I envision, but yeah. So I think in order to I think function well and not hurt the community that you care about. Yeah, you get out of town for a couple days a month, and
Cool. So I think we're starting this. Uh, well, wait a minute. We've got a checklist. We've got like a bunch of checklists to
oh
go. Wait,
yeah,
wait,
we got all
we can't
kinds.
start. We can't start yet. We have so much
Yeah,
stuff. Uh,
let's put up the roll 20. So this is my real quick. This is my character. They're a werewolf ranger, level 1. I rolled up my stats just down the line. So they've got a +1 in strength and charisma, +2 in dex, and a +0 in everything else.
Yeah, and I don't think I have the city details checklist on the Roll20, so I'll share it
Okay,
uh,
yeah,
in another method.
sounds good. And yeah, and I took Rangers have survival. I took athletics as well, and I've got scout and wild as my special abilities. And
Cool.
that's it for Roll20 for World of Dungeons characters, right? They're nice and simple.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah, it's
let's.
sparse. It's sparse. Cool. So I looked at the checklist I made for Ithaca Station and the checklists for Apocalypse World, and they did not work at all because we don't want to rule a city or even like administrate it. We just want to
Yeah,
live in it.
yeah,
So I just put a couple of checklists together so that we can kind of like get what kind of fantasy vibe we want. And we can literally check everything off on every list and it's fine.
right,
And it still works.
right. Because these
So
aren't like here's your 3 strengths and your 2 weaknesses, right? These are
no,
just
no,
like,
no. This is just like, hey, is there anything here that just doesn't work? Where you're like, yeah, Judd, talking lions is a little bit much.
yeah,
And
it's not. Talking lines are great, but yeah,
cool. We should take our favorites. So in some of them. So something steals your lunch. It is most likely it's most likely monkeys with sorceress enhancements that they pass down along genetic lines. Pigeons that can find anyone in the city if you tell the pigeon your true name or the true name of the person you're looking for. They'll go find them or deliver a message to them. Ravens who utter pieces of arcane spells as they squawk around, and rats who clearly have their own society going on, like out of view of humans within the walls and such. When I showed this to my wife, she was like, monkeys win, like clearly. And I was like, no, no, this isn't a contest. This is like, what do you want the city to be like? It's not a fight. This is not a fight between, this is not a
monkeys,
fight between,
rats, ravens, and
yeah,
pigeons.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, she's got family in India. So like, she knows like you stay away from monkeys. They will F you
Monkeys will
up.
mess you up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're not a joke. And
yeah,
so, uh, except when they are. And so anyway, I like the idea of a city with like monkeys running around as as the as the critters that are going through the garbage. It absolutely terrifies me, but I love it.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, what do you like? And this can also be like, hey, all these things exist, Judd, but in the borough where I live, you have to watch out for the rats, or you have,
Right,
you know
right.
what I mean? Like, so
That's
anyway,
what I was thinking. Is because the question is, it's most likely, which like leaves
right?
a possibility that all of the other things are totally possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, I totally want to see rodent rat society. So I'm going to say,
cool,
it's rats, and
cool,
they are, there's like a rat on lookout, and like a getaway rat,
totally,
and like there's
yeah,
like enough precautions taken that like
clearly sentient, like
clearly sentient, clearly planning, clearly got like the rats are over there playing Blades in the Dark right now while we're playing
right,
World Dungeons, right? Like they've got plans. They've got
right,
things going on.
right,
Um to the point where it's often like if you see the rat scour like chasing off with your lunch, it's like, well, do I want to go after it? Because I remember that time when like Frito went after it and like she came back messed up. It was a trap. They lured her in and
right,
they took more than her lunch by the
yeah,
time she was done. So maybe just let them go. Maybe
yep.
just cost of not paying enough attention.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Rats it is. Check, check. We don't have to check that off, but I get it. Uh,
Oh right, yeah. This is why we should put it in Roll20 so that we
yeah,
can
I
like.
will start putting it in Roll20 now, just so we can. But you know what? The checks in Roll20 are hideous, so I'm
That's
just going to do
true.
it later anyway. So
Cool.
I
That's
will.
good point. You'll want to do it in nice version. But we
Yeah,
will have a record of rats. All right. The
rats it
city
is.
has checked to include or ex to veto. I'll just read like a couple. There's so many. I'll read a couple and then we can hand out. We can
Yeah,
pass off. Dragon rails, both for getting around locally and going to distant cities. Talking lions, who oversee the municipal library, male and married. Elves, orcs, dwarves, gnomes, hobbits, dragon folk, devil folk created by the sorcerer kings. Devils bound to the foundation of
yeah.
buildings.
A living statue. I should have written living monument who patrols the bay, lantern in hand. Uh, very much Statue of Liberty vibe going there. A volcano on the horizon, silent since the exit of the Sorcerer Kings. A Minotaur architects who maintain the maze-like cobblestone streets. I've been using that chestnut for years, and I just keep coming back to it. I can't stop using Minotaur maze priests, architect priests. I can't stop. Constructs who tend the Sorcerer King circles, grids, and squares throughout the city. A complicated series of tests to become a legally bonded and certified to practice sorcery. Temples, shrines, and churches dedicated to deities who are very real and walk the earth.
And there's one that I think got missed on accident, which is municipal wizards who help communities deal with arcane
Oh,
challenges.
yeah. Yeah.
Right
Skip
about.
right over the municipal wizards. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I sort of made my first. I mean, none of these things are things I would veto outright. Like none of
Cool.
these things are what I veto because I feel like they would challenge my notion of the city, or that I feel like it's like a line or a veil.
Awesome.
But there's a couple that I could knock out in order to make room for others.
All right.
Like that I think might be cool. Do you have any that you feel super strong about, or
I
that
don't.
you?
I really, really, really don't. I mean, I like most of them, but I can get rid of we can you can get rid of a lot of them, and so
Yeah,
whatever. Like, if you want to pick three faves, and say like, hey, I'd like them all to be kind of around, but these are my three favorites. That's great too, and then I can just kind of highlight them, and if I
yeah,
so
yeah. Let's highlight for me a complicated series of tests to be legally bonded and certified to practice sorcery. Um, Constructs who tend to the sorcerer king circles, circle grids and squares throughout the city. I love that, especially in the absence of them. I love these constructs like still doing this job,
yeah,
even though
yeah,
the sorcerer kings aren't there anymore.
yep,
Oh, and the tests I was excited about because I think when we were spitballing about this last time, we kind of had the idea of like the sorcerer's apprentice who stuck around and is now like trying to kind of get a corner the market on magic. And
right,
so
right,
it's like, no. This isn't all open game for everybody. I'm going to try and get a hold of it, even though this apprentice is probably nowhere near prepared to deal with these magics, but like
cool.
doesn't want to make it easy for others to jump in. And
Cool,
then
cool. And when you say apprentice, I just want to clear some things up because I've got ideas of what the Sorcerer Kings were like. I picture them as very like inhuman
yeah,
and just built for built vaguely humanoid, but also like abnormally tall and long limbed with these really long fingers, and there's sort of an alienness to them, but also kind of a weird logic. So when you say apprentice, you mean like some kind of wizard who worked under the Sorcerer Kings back in the day.
yeah.
Cool.
I think somebody who could be human for all, like they may not have been of the ilk of the sorcerer kings, but they were working under them in some capacity. And
Yeah.
in their vacuum, I envision what seems most sensible if selfish and cruel to me is someone, instead of saying like, well, let's start everything over, it's like let's continue up all of these um, let's continue the role of sorcerers as being in the place of power, and I'm going to step into that
Got it.
spot.
Cool.
That's how I envision it. Even though they're like utterly incapable of managing those kinds of magics, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
Awesome.
then we got to have talking lions who oversee the municipal library, because that implies the library. And I know,
Yes.
Judd, that we gotta have a library.
Yeah.
So
I've been thinking about that for a long time because I've been seeing patients in Fortitude outside of the New York Public Library, the Schwartzman Building, pretty famous, and it occurred to me, a lot of people through the years have gendered them, and uh, they're both male lions. So like either they're brothers, which doesn't seem like what they ever were, or yeah, they are married and cool. Like
yeah,
I love
awesome.
it. I love my gay talking lions. So let's do it.
Yeah,
I think it's great.
yeah.
Cool.
And the only ones that I'm kind of like, like I could take them or leave them, are the temples, shrines, and churches dedicated to deities who walk the earth. I dig the temples. I think deities walking the earth. I like the idea that we have a real lack of control over magic right now. Like that,
Yeah,
like in the wake of the Sorcery Kings, there isn't an immediate like, well, we could just turn to this deity to try and make things right. So if they do
cool.
walk the earth, I think they're rare, or they don't come here, or they're only
Yeah,
rumored about.
we could say they're real but distant. Does
Yeah,
that sound
yeah,
right?
I think that's great.
Cool. And I
Um,
say that because I have a lot of friends who have had tough times with religion and they're very atheistic. And I find that those friends tend to not want to play religious characters in game. And they're very humanistic in game, and they want it to be about the human making the choice because they're doing the right thing, and
right.
not because. So I had a friend Aaron who was running it, who we were playing a game in Forgotten Realms, and and yeah, he wasn't into gods, and I thought that was interesting. So
Yeah.
I threw that question in there just so people can be like, yeah, that's not for me. Cool.
Yeah. No, I'm
Uh,
I'm definitely down with religions. I have a I was raised Catholic and gave up on that very early on. But I mean I think all religions have their histories and they're complicated and there's like not a single one that's like that isn't problematic in some way.
yeah.
But I'm not anti-theistic or and I don't hate the idea of religion being present in the game. And I'm happy. Like, I mean, you saw it with Bina. Like, I'm happy to engage with religious characters, right? Like,
Yep.
that's something.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And the next one is a choice one, and
Yeah.
that is, what does the borough that you live in look like?
Oh yeah.
Is it a ramshackle tenement? Building leaning against building, one another in the shadows of cloud scraping towers, like I don't know, like the Lower East Side. Is it a sleepy village with a metropolis dominating the skyline across the river? Hello, Queens. Is it a fleet of boats tethered together in the bay? There's nothing. There's nowhere in New York City's like that. Maybe Brooklyn. Just because Brooklyn was so far away from me, it was such a bother. I have bad feelings about Brooklyn. God bless you if you live in Brooklyn. No disrespect, man. A Sorcerer King's Tower repurposed for public housing. That's just Manhattan, and a series of tunnels dug into the earth for no discernible purpose. That's nowhere, but it could be cool.
Yeah.
Do any of them stand out to you, or any of them you taking a
Yeah. No, they all sound super super cool. I don't want to choose a tunnel dug into the earth because that's where we're going to be going, right? We're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
be
yeah,
spending a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
time digging into tunnels. All of the other ones I could go with easily. I think I'm drawn towards the fleet of boats tethered
Oh,
together in the
interesting.
bay. Sorry if that's not the borough that you're
No,
are
no, no.
familiar
I
with.
dig it. I dig it. Fleet of boats sounds good. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. That's great.
feels
That's
like
great.
it's feels like it's a space. Boat culture is one that I'm pretty familiar with. My dad was a sailor all his life,
Oh,
and
nice.
he owned many boats over time. And um, boat culture tends to be one that is led. I wouldn't say it's like it's not clear who owns what. I mean, you're like, this is my boat, that's your boat, but like the idea of like hopping off of your boat onto someone else's boat to like have a conversation with them is
Yeah.
really normal. Whereas like that wouldn't be as normal if you just like walked into somebody's house necessarily.
Right.
It
Right.
might be in some communities, it might be, but it always felt very normal to me that like you just bumped into people on the docks all the time,
Yeah.
and like climbing on someone else's boat. You there were certainly people would be like, come aboard, and like you'd observe a lot of
Right.
details about that, but like it didn't feel to me like those were strongly reinforced. So the idea that you have communal boats
Yeah.
sounds pretty cool to me. Um,
Awesome.
if you want to bring in any of those other boroughs
Yeah. I
in
figure
play, I think
all the others will be other boroughs in other areas.
yeah,
So I'll have to think of one that'll be kind of Bronxy, because I don't think I did one that was Bronx like enough, and I want to represent. So
yeah,
yeah, sounds good. We've already started with the next one, I feel like, over Twitter, but we can go more here.
yeah,
Choose
yeah.
3 or more that bring the community to life. I feel like the reason why I did this one is because I feel like in a lot of urban games, people concentrate on crime and I don't know, organized crime or whatever. And I wanted, hey, but what makes what makes the community get excited and
Yeah.
start to dance in the streets?
Yeah.
So I wanted more of that. So
I've already sent you both a tweet and a
yes,
MP3 to talk about this Baroque sport. I haven't thought of a name of it yet. It could be called something like feathers or egg ball. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know, but I'm envisioning this like part of the city with all of these where gravity is not stable, and
yeah,
there's all of these like floating rocks that kind of raise and lower, and there's this sort of capture the flag game, and it's a game that emulates an old delve that used to be done, but obviously isn't done anymore because sorcerer kings aren't there. But the delve was to go in and steal these eggs, and so
yeah.
it's a
Is
capture
it?
the flag kind of game. Each team has an egg, and you're trying to get
Yeah.
the other one.
Is it Dragon Ball? Should we just call it Dragon Ball?
I mean, are we gonna run into like Dragon Ball Z,
Oh shit. Yeah,
like
that's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah, you're right.
I feel like I would not be able to escape the
Yeah, yeah.
existing Dragon Ball.
I didn't think of that.
Yeah,
Wyvern Ball.
Wyvern Ball's good. Yeah,
Let's do Wyvern Ball.
Wyvern Ball, like it. Yeah,
Cool.
and so I think like it's played at various different levels. So like kids
Cool.
will play it, and they just have these like paper mache eggs filled with water, and if it I think it's important that the egg can break. That's part of the Baroque sport you don't fully understand the rules of,
Right.
because like it's like, well, did you break it? Did the team who owned it broke it when they were defending it, or did the aggressor break it? Because I think once you break it, it isn't game over, but it means like all the rest of the opposing team can like send their legions on you. Like then it becomes like a chase to get out alive, right? Like so I think like the game has different win conditions.
Love it.
I'm not and then when you play it in like league levels, they fill them with paint. So it's paint the color of the team that you're going from. So if you're if you're the green team playing against the yellow team, then and you get the yellow's egg and it breaks on you, then you get yellow paint all over you, and that just makes it that much easier to identify like who's
Love it.
it's ridiculous. And yeah, and there's all you're chasing along floating rocks and things like that. And I don't know if Micah plays or not. I think because it's like something that's just done in the Borough, Micah certainly plays. I don't think they play professionally, but like it's
Right.
certainly something that like a lot of people learn to do. So yeah, that's
Cool.
clearly one I got really into
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
daydreaming
I love
about.
it. I mean, that's exactly what this thing was meant to do, right? It was meant to inspire some thought and daydreaming about this the city of Jaquays.
Yeah.
Uh, cool. A raucous wake seemed to be another one that brought it out of you.
Yeah, yeah. I think people howl and shout and they call it going to the Kings. And it's kind of like when you say someone's going to the Kings, it's like I'm going down to hell to punch the devil in the nose. Like that's kind of the sentiment. It's like A, this is all their fault, but B, like this is where we finally have the chance to like give the sorcerer kings what for, or at least that's the sort of modern interpretation of it.
Love it.
Maybe that phrase was predates the sorcerer kings, and we don't remember what it used to mean, but that's what we call it. Call it go to the kings, and it's said with like spite, like yeah, they're going to the kings, right? Like
Right.
it's like
Right.
we're gonna show you, and that's why it's a raucous wake. We want the fallen to know that we're like um we want the fallen to know that we're like cheering them on as they go.
Cool.
um
Cool. Cool. That's great. I think
yeah,
we got everything we needed out of that.
yeah.
And what do the other boroughs think? Should we call your borough Fleet?
Fleet sounds great. Yeah.
And what do the other boroughs think of Fleet?
Fleet. um what do they think of Fleet? What do the boroughs think of us? I don't think fancy feels right. um um I want to say blue collar tough. I don't know if that's too everyman kind of good old boy
Right.
answer.
Or I
Um,
mean, you were talking about how with a ship you can kind of walk into someone else's house. So are you known for being? Maybe they're known for being rude because they just don't respect
yeah,
other people's you know personal space.
yeah, I
Uh,
think so. I think root sounds
Used to
good.
just walking in. That sounds
Yeah,
great. Cool. Let's go with rude. That's
yeah.
great. Fantastic. Yeah, I think you, Micah, you head to the chapter house, and you are, and it's your night to choose a delve, and your boss is there. I think because it's your night to choose. Her name is Flintony. A lot of people just call her Flint, and she has the three maps. There are three delvers in your chapter house who are working tonight. I think you work kind of a shitty shift,
Yeah.
and so you work the dusk till dawn shift rather than the dawn till dusk shift.
Hmm.
And she lays out three vaults, or three delves, and she says, "I got a I got some choices for you tonight, Micah. Let me know what brings it out in you."
Yeah, Micah is dressed like Mike. They have really baggy clothes that are like very shawl like lots of wraps. And there's two purposes for those. One of them is so that if they turn into a wolf, it doesn't destroy their clothes, and the
Mm,
other one is that they kind of have on their right side, like there's like a lot of pouches that are kind of built into the shawls where they've got basically like a sling style of pouches. And so they pull out this like pepper jerky. Micah's always eating. They're just like always hungry.
yeah,
And they're like gnawing on this jerky, and they take like a half gnawed bit of jerky and like roll it over to Flint, because they don't like particularly observe that like what I chewed on isn't something you would want to chew on. So it's whether Flint, like to Micah, this seems like a normal sort of like, oh,
right.
I'm eating, so I'm gonna share it. Maybe it would be nicer if it wasn't something that they had already taken a bite out of, but and so yeah, they roll over this like they put it as like bit of jerky, and then they look at the maps and they're like, more dells, more problems. What's easy? What's the least broken?
Yeah. So
Um,
while you're looking down like at the map, uh, she takes the piece of meat in two fingers and kind of puts it in a piece of trash, and wipes it on a kerchief, while you're looking at something else.
I like
So
look over like, oh, it's kind of wasting food. Damn, I don't know.
and she changes the subject and says, I think she's a statuesque black woman, who kept her hair short all her life for helmets and helms because she was a stalwart shield,
Mm,
and now she's a chapter house director, so she can she doesn't have to go on delves that often anymore.
yeah.
So yeah, she is.
Mike on the other hand has like long, shoulder length hair, pretty soft edges. Is not super super well built. Like a little like seems younger than they really are, just because they kind of have a little more roundness in their cheeks and their features,
Yeah,
and is like very disapproving of wasting food. But okay, they're they're not going to go dig it out of the trash. I mean,
yeah. So, and
not
you
while
know
people
what,
are watching.
I think Flint would have known that about you. So she takes it and she folds it in her kerchief and she says, "I'll have this later."
Okay,
Like
nice.
she was definitely going to go. She was definitely going to do something that was diplomatic. She got to this position because she's pretty good with people.
Got it.
And
Nice.
she says, "This is a portal delve. It's going to lead you to some kind of barren hills. We think it's on this world. We believe still, but it's somewhere far away and we haven't identified it yet. You shouldn't need any. It's along the same latitude, so you're not going to need a different pair of clothes or anything for hot or cold weather. The neighborhood is, nothing's come through, but the neighborhood has a lot of strange dreams. There's a lot of sleepwalking in the neighborhood where it is, and a lot of nights where people wake up, looking up at the sky, and no one's really sure why, and it's getting a little weird. The worst thing that's happened is someone was on their way, sleepwalking, and they fell down some stairs and broke an ankle. Which isn't monsters crawling out of pits, but we'd like this dealt with if it could be.
So and they're already like A, eating more food, and B, like have some coffee that they've gotten from the
Yeah. Oh,
station. That's
totally.
like really bad coffee, but they just don't care. And they're like sipping the coffee and like trying not to drip on the map and looking
Yeah.
at like, okay, so weird happenings, mysterious happenings, people staring at the moon. I've been there. Yeah. That sounds familiar. Okay. Yeah.
Let's look at the rest.
Yeah, let's
Get
pull it.
this
Let's
get
pull
this
it
chosen
up.
so we can get the other ones, get your colleagues out in the world.
Does
Do you
Micah
want?
have seniority such that they can sort of choose what they want, and
I
then
think I think it's rotating.
yeah,
I think it's rotating. So like tonight is your night.
tonight's my night to pick. Other nights I might just have to go.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. Which will allow me to not always have to make multiple delves some nights and
Nice.
other nights and
What's the next
whatever.
one? Wheel vaults or
Sure. Yeah, we can look at the wheel vaults.
cool.
This one got a little restless. We think something might have crawled out of it.
I feel like I've been in one of these before, man. Feel like I remember they were using they built some big machines down there, didn't they? I think this center is this still operating? This cog in the
Nope.
center?
Nope.
No, it's busted.
The lore keepers I've shown it to think it's some kind of tomb. From the very, very first days when the Sorcerer Kings got here. We think it might be on an island somewhere near the equator. So we're looking at some warmer weather.
Yeah.
And, maybe kind of a sandy beach outside. Yeah, that's what we've got.
And our problem with this one is something's coming out. We're afraid.
There have been some unsubstantiated rumors that things have been going in and out. And it could be locals, it could be amateur delvers, it could be something in there came out. We're just not sure. So we would, we want this dealt with.
Yeah. It just feels familiar for some reason. Okay. What's the and like they've drained their coffee and they're like pouring another cup.
So you definitely have heard that there is like a mega dungeon because it is it's not a one-time delve, right? You go in, you get as far as you can, you add to the map if you can, and you come back. Like you're not expected to finish everything,
right?
Because this is going to be years of work.
Yeah,
and like this is what we have so far. She says, this is the old tower. This is the mega dungeon under the old tower. We've added some to the map since you've last seen it.
Oh yeah. Look at this section. I didn't realize it broke off into natural territories over there. Wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And we've got an opening there. I had this well assigned, but we've got an opening because Krytus took a poison dart to the leg. We're not sure if it's the poison or if it's some kind of mold that was on the dart. It's bad, and we've got
Trap
the
door, trap treasure chest.
trapped this long area with all the pillars. That's where the trap
Hmm.
was. We've got those traps disarmed, but now we're making our way slowly. The good news is that you'll be well provisioned and that you'll have maybe a little more help than usual if my recruiting went well. The bad news is that you're going to have a lot of eyes on you. A lot of the city elders are watching this carefully. We don't know how deep this thing goes, and we really don't know even what it is. We don't think this is actually underneath the old tower. We think the doorway is a portal somewhere else, and we're not exactly sure where at all. It's all underground. Um,
Yeah, I always did get a weird sense when I went in there. It didn't smell like underground here.
yeah,
It had something in the air I couldn't quite pick up, like
you're
more iron, more some kind of mineral. It
you're not
just didn't
you're not the first
smell
person to
dank.
mention the smell. You're not the first person to mention the smell. Yeah, uh, we think there are definitely living things in there, uh, but we haven't run into anything yet. But as I said, we've been taking it slow. Some new blood might help. So if you want in, you're welcome to it. But if you take this one, I'd like you to stay with it for a while. Especially if you get along with the team in general. If you've got good communication, you've got that pack mentality. If you want, if you think you're going to get along with working kind of with a team on shifts, then I'd love to I'd love to get you in on this one. But if you just don't want those kind of eyes on you, go check on something else. It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't need that heat right now. My family. If I'm in there for too long and I don't come back out, my kid's got a play coming up that I want to make sure I'm there for, and
I get it. I
had
get it.
too many times where I've too many times where I've been stuck in a dungeon when I should be there. I don't want to disappoint you, but I'm gonna go for a short one this time. That mega dungeon isn't going anywhere. I'm sure there'll be opportunities to delve in it again when things aren't as busy.
Sounds good.
So yeah, let's go to the beachfront. Let's go to that wheel vault. I could use some sandy. Could use some sand between my toes.
Sounds
Um,
good.
seems like a pretty clear thing. We just want to figure out who's going in and out, right? Maybe put up some signs saying "Stop it" and dissuade whoever's in there from mucking around with the
Yeah.
old
You
tomb.
you know what people do when you put up signs?
They ignore them.
She nods.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't want signs. I want something a little bit more final. I'm not saying kill everything. I'm not saying hack and slash. I'm saying deal with it.
well, if people are taking refuge there, I mean, if they're in there for a reason, we got anything I can offer them? We got any part of the borough? Any boats they could stay in? Any kind of
If they want if there's something sentient in there and you need to invoke the Refugee Act, invoke it.
all right, all right, yeah. Let's go figure out who's scampering around in the wheel. And God, I feel like there's something. I feel like this feels similar. So Mike is going to take this job, but before they go out, unless it's like you know, unless is no time, they're going to go over and dig through thumb through the archives and
Yeah.
ask the lore master um, what they know about the vault because their recollection of it, this is I'm just making out, but their recollection of it was that big cog in the center was part of some big gear mechanism that was activating something, and that's not from this dungeon, it's just from another one with a similar design. And so they're trying to figure out like what's if they're related, and what the intent, what the original intent of this of this was, because it
Cool.
looks like there's a tomb, but they suspect that there's more going on. That tomb is ancillary
Yeah.
to the main intent. So,
Sounds great.
do we have a lore master for this?
Let's roll. Let's make some. Let's roll some dice
Yeah,
and see what you find. I think. Um, so I think it's not so much like do you find the lore master, because I think you're on the night shift and there's
yeah,
probably not. But it's like, can you sort through what the lore master left when they were
got
working
it.
all day? So let's make it an intelligence check.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Let's roll 2d6 and see what happens, and we'll just use the bare knuckles move. Maybe how about this? If you get a clean hit, you ask 3 questions about it. If you get a 7 to 9, it's 1 question, and uh, on a miss, you ask a question, but you'll come away with the wrong idea.
Nice. Well, I rolled and I got a 9.
Cool.
So yeah, what was the what do we speculate? I don't even have this to be the absolute truth, but what do we speculate was the purpose of the dungeon originally?
Yeah. Um, the purpose was to uh I think you're reading through and you find this kind of uh you're reading, it's a cog, it's clearly a part of a machine that never got linked to another cog, and it's embedded in the earth because there was probably some kind of volcanic activity, and like it's really boring, kind of what you'd expect stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
you can look at that and know like that thing doesn't spin, like it was never meant to spin.
Mm.
And so what you find notes from this plucky young apprentice who was writing about I think what this was an early sorcerer king experiment uh, about designed where uh, they were trying to create someone to rule this planet in their stead, and this was like an early experiment in that, and this is kind of a almost a monument to like an experiment that didn't quite work.
Huh.
uh, and that's what they think, and that rings more true to you,
Yeah.
having like been in something like this before, and you were like, oh yeah, the thing that I was in before was a bunch of knights, and it was like a memorial, and it did, that rang true to you.
Nice. Um, yeah. So I think I come with like like a sheaf of parchment that I've pulled. It's got grease stains on the edge and
Yeah.
charcoal scribbles on the corners and the margins, and I'm waving in front of Flint. I'm like, haha, told you, I knew it was for something else.
Nice.
I'm like, I bet. Sure enough, I bet you there's a bunch of hooligans in there that think they're going to create their own god. All right, okay.
Nice.
All right, all right.
Yeah, I think like she's talking to the person who's taking the mega dungeon and kind of like giving them the lowdown. And so she like, she looks over at you and says, "Go get him. Have a good night. Be safe, or good hunting." Is what she says.
All right, and I kind of nod at the Delver who's going into the mega dungeon, and I acknowledge it, and I say, all right, and I'm like rolling up, like with one hand, like rolling up
Yeah.
the parchment and shoving it into a fold of the shawl,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I tell I tell the Delver who's going to go in the mega dungeon, like, wear some greaves. I bet all those darts. I don't be too sure that all those dart traps have been found. And
Yeah, they like tip their helm to you and say, like, yeah, no doubt. And
and yeah, I start heading towards the portal to the
cool.
dungeon to meet to get provisioned.
Yeah. Awesome. We've been at it a little bit less than an hour, but I have to use the restroom.
Oh,
So
okay.
I would like to take a break if you don't mind.
Absolutely, no problem at all.
And when we get back, we will get your gear on and go through the gear checklist and then jump in. And then, if you want to get any delve support, we can do that. And then we'll go from there.
Awesome. Okay, okay, friends, we're gonna throw up a wait screen. We'll be back in a few minutes, and yeah, see you soon. Thanks, everyone.